Hi everyone, today I'll be looking at Pat Metheny's solo on the tune Solar. Metheny's solo begins 29 seconds into the tune and is played over 19 repeats of the following 12-bar progression, which may be heard as an embellished 12-bar blues in C minor. As you can see, the progression's second 6 bars comprise 3 2-5-1 progressions, one in E flat major, one in D flat major, and one in the tonic key C minor. The major subdominant in bars 5 and 6 is also preceded by its own 2-5 progression in bars 3 and 4. The root notes of each of these progressions create a stepwise descent from F to C. The 12 bars of Solar then contain 4 key centers: F, E flat and D flat major, and C minor. You'll notice this transcription doesn't include tablature. The main reason for this is in the tab of the previous transcriptions in the series. I've never attempted to accurately notate the fingering of the respective guitarists, as I believe it's more beneficial to use your own fingerings. It seems pointless, therefore, to continue to include tab in this or future transcriptions. However, if you'd like me to reinstate tablature, please leave your reason in the comments. Because of the length of Metheny's solo, in this video I will only be looking at the first 6 repeats, with the remaining sections covered in future videos. Over the initial C minor 7 harmony, Metheny essentially uses chord notes with the inclusion of only the single F passing note. He then plays the 7th of the G minor 7th chord before moving to this E flat, which here sounds as the chord's sharpened 5th. The F and E flat notes also begin the first long-range line Metheny uses during the solo. The line's outline I will discuss soon. Over the C7 chord, Metheny moves chromatically from the chord's root note to its 7th, before then playing G flat, its flattened 5th degree. The B flat and G flat notes can be heard as the root note and 3rd of G flat 7, C7's Tritone Substitution. Over this F major 7 harmony, Metheny again essentially uses chord notes which are embellished with chromatic and diatonic incomplete upper and lower neighbour notes and the passing note. Over the following F minor 7 harmony, Metheny plays an A flat major arpeggio, the notes of which sound as the 3rd, 5th and 7th degrees of the F minor 7 chord, with this B flat passing note between the 3rd and 5th degrees. Here also Metheny introduces this rhythmic motif taken from his performance of the head, which he uses fairly consistently throughout this solo. The 3rd of the F minor 7 chord is also the final note of the initial long-range line, which as we saw earlier begins here and moves through the D and D flat incomplete upper neighbour notes to C, which is resounded here before descending to the A flat. For some people, the concept and execution of long-range lines may seem improbable, given that, as in this example, the line is broken by other melodic contours which disrupt its progress. Although I've never read or heard an interview with Metheny where he explicitly discusses his use of this concept, his solo indicates that maybe even on a subconscious level, long-range lines are connecting some parts. For example, through these bars, after this E flat sounds, other notes are included which move away from this note. In this bar, however, after this initial harmony note, the 3rd of the F major 7 chord, the long-range line recommences on D, the next note in the descent. It then continues, as we've seen, to end on A flat. As we progress through this solo, we'll see this process occurring again and again, and it's a process not unique to Metheny's style. Aside from simply retaining the E flat in his mind through this bar and then continuing with D over the F major 7 chord, Metheny may also have been using a visual approach to create this line. For example, if we follow its descent on a single string of the guitar, we see that if we play the F and E flat in this position, we know that after playing this figure over the C7 chord, we need to continue from this D note. This arpeggio also can be played beneath the line C before recommencing with C again at the 5th fret. In this way, the line's melodic contour may be visually mapped across the fretboard. A second long-range line begins here, where for its initial section, Metheny uses the rhythmic motif. This line moves through a number of harmony and passing notes and is displaced here, where the expected F is moved up an octave to eventually end on the C, the 7th of D-flat major 7 harmony. Metheny then completes the first 12-bar cycle with this ascent up to E-flat, the 3rd of C minor 7 harmony. The second 12-bar cycle begins with Metheny playing the 3rd and root note of the underlying C minor 7 harmony. C minor's 11th and 9th extensions are then sounded as part of this G minor 7 arpeggio. A C minor 7 arpeggio is then played over this G minor 7 chord, supplying the 11th and 13th extensions. Here, the rhythmic motif is used with the notes F and G to create a stepwise move to the 3rd of F major 7 harmony, with the F of this line supplying the 11th of the C7 chord. This figure is built around the 3rd and 5th degrees of F major 7 harmony and is then used over the F minor 7 chord with slight rhythmic alteration and the introduction of A flat. Through the following several bars, to create his lines, Metheny is again essentially using chord notes, sometimes connected by passing or incomplete neighbour notes. For example, here the 7th and 5th of B flat 7 harmony are used. Here the 3rd, 5th and root note of E flat major 7 harmony. Here the root note and 3rd of E flat minor 7 harmony. Here the root note and 9th of A flat 7 harmony, with this D flat sounding as an anticipation of the root note of the following D flat major 7th chord. Here the 7th and 5th of D flat major 7 harmony is used. Here the 3rd and 7th of D minor 7 harmony, and here the 5th, 3rd and root note of G7 flat 9 harmony. Beginning the 12-bar cycle's 3rd repeat, Metheny uses ideas similar to those he used at the beginnings of the first 2 repeats, with the notes of the C minor 7 chord essentially being used, but with hints of G minor 7. Here again over the G minor 7 chord, notes of C minor are included. Beginning on the C note is another long-range line, which is here embellished by the flat 9th extension, which together with the 7th again suggests C7's tritone substitution. The line descends through the flattened 3rd of this F major 7 harmony, before again sounding C and then moving with a line resembling this idea to A flat, the 3rd of F minor 7 harmony. The line is then moved up an octave through the notes of an F minor 7 arpeggio to end on D, the 3rd of this B flat 7 chord. As we've already seen here, Metheny does occasionally use a minor 3rd over a major chord. The opposite is also used where here he uses the major 3rd over this minor chord. In this context, it occurs as part of this local descent from C to F, whereas here these notes collectively form a G7 arpeggio, which is used as part of a parallel chord idea leading to this D flat major 7 chord. Here the G7 arpeggio moves on to a G flat major arpeggio and then on to the note A flat. Seen arranged in the following example with each chord written as a 7th chord, we see that each of these elements result from a stepwise movement or a note being repeated from the previous. For example, except for the F, all of the G flat major 7th notes are simply a semitone lower than those of the G7 arpeggio, and the A flat and lower F of the D flat major 7 chord continue this descent, while the upper F and D flat are repeated. This type of parallel chord idea is another in Metheny's soloing vocabulary. Metheny then completes this 12-bar cycle using the same notes and rhythm as he used here to end the previous cycle. Beginning the next 12 bars, Metheny is again essentially embellishing chord notes. And here he begins another long-range line which moves through the D and D flat notes of the following bar to end on B flat, the 7th of C7 harmony. The D flat here is harmonized by a G flat 7 chord, C7's tritone substitution. Over the F major 7 harmony, he again introduces a parallel chord idea, this time using parallel augmented triads a major second apart. The upper notes of these augmented triads create an ascending long-range line leading through E flat, the 7th of this F minor 7th chord, to end on F, its root note. The F then begins a descending long-range line which initially descends to G flat, the 3rd of E flat minor 7 harmony, before continuing through octave displacement to end on B, the 3rd of G7 flat 9 harmony. The following 12-bar cycle then begins with another parallel chord idea, which is a variation of its previous usage. Here Metheny begins on a second inversion C minor triad and then plays a first inversion F minor triad, a move achieved by retaining the C as a common note and moving C minor's 3rd and 5th degrees up a step. The idea is continued over G minor 7 harmony, although here while the C is retained and the A flat moves to A natural, the F descends back to E flat to create an A diminished triad. In the following bar, the notes of the A diminished triad all ascend by semitone to create an A sharp diminished triad, which together with this G note form an A sharp diminished 7th arpeggio. Enharmonically, the root note of this arpeggio sounds as the 7th of C7 harmony and resolves as expected to the 3rd of the following F major 7 chord. Another long-range line then begins on this G, the 9th of F major 7 harmony. It then moves to D over F minor 7 harmony to eventually end on C, the 13th of this E flat major 7th chord. Through the duration of this line, Metheny twice uses a minor 7th over major 7th harmony. Firstly here where E flat is used over the F major 7 chord, and here where D flat is used over E flat major 7. In both instances, their presence may be heard as part of the descent of the long-range line and is further confirmation that Metheny is thinking long-range for many of his melodic ideas. Here Metheny uses a common technique of using a minor pentatonic scale whose root note lies a semitone below that of a major chord to produce a Lydian sound. Here a C minor pentatonic scale is used over D flat major harmony. However, in this instance, because Metheny begins the scale early, the B flat, C and E flat notes of the pentatonic scale sound the 9th, 3rd and 5th degrees of A flat 7 harmony. Another long-range line begins here in the final bar of the cycle, which moves through the major 3rd of the following cycle's initial C minor 7 harmony to its minor 3rd and on to finally end on B flat, the 7th of C7 harmony. Here again Metheny uses the flattened 5th degree and the 7th to imply C7's tritone substitution. In the initial bars of the cycle over C minor 7 harmony, Metheny again uses the parallel chord idea. This time a B minor 7 arpeggio descends to a B flat minor 7 arpeggio, with the line then moving to a C. In this example, the D and D flat notes of the long-range lines are treated as the 3rd degrees of both parallel chords. From here, the remaining bars of this 12-bar cycle are formed around this long-range line, which after beginning on this F, continues chromatically until this B flat note, where it then moves by step to end on G, the root note of this G7 flat 9 chord. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.